The underground shelter smelled of recycled air and fear. Mino pressed his back against the cold metal wall and listened to the heavy footsteps above. The Vraxel soldiers were searching again. They always searched after dark when the humans tried to sleep. He counted the steps. 5 soldiers, maybe 6. Their boots made the ceiling dust fall like dirty snow. Mino looked around the shelter at the faces watching him. 32 people lived in this section. 32 people who depended on him to keep them safe. The footsteps moved away. Everyone breathed again. Jiwan walked over to him. She was the captain of their resistance cell. A thin woman with hard eyes and gray hair, she cut herself with a knife. Before the Vraxel came, she had been a school principal. Now she was a soldier. "We need medicine," she said quietly. "Hemi says we have maybe 3 days left." Minho nodded. Dr. Choi Hemi was doing her best, but supplies were running out. People were getting sick. The children were getting sick. "The supply depot on the north side?" Minho asked. "It's heavily guarded." "Everything is heavily guarded." Jiwan looked at him for a long moment. "We can't afford to lose anyone. We can't afford to do nothing either." She touched his shoulder once, then walked away. That was Jiwan. She gave orders, but she let her people make their own choices. It was one of the reasons they were still alive. Minho moved through the shelter. The main room was carved from rock and reinforced with stolen metal. Dim lights hung from wires. Families clustered in small spaces marked by hanging blankets. It wasn't much, but it was home now. He found Hayami in the medical area. She was wrapping a man's injured arm with cloth that had been washed and reused too many times. She looked up when Minho approached. "How is he?" Minho asked. "He'll live. If infection doesn't set in." Hayami finished the bandage and stood. She was younger than Jiwan but older than Minho. Her hands shook slightly. They always did now. "We're out of antibiotics. Out of pain medicine. Out of almost everything, I know, do you?" Her voice was sharp. "Because I'm the one who has to watch them suffer. I'm the one who has to tell mothers their children might not make it." Minho said nothing. There was nothing to say. They all carried their own weight. A small voice interrupted them. "Mr. Minho," he turned. Little Duri stood there holding a piece of paper. She was 8 years old with bright eyes and 2 missing front teeth. Her parents had died in the first month of occupation. Now everyone in the shelter was her family. "I made you something," Duri said. She held out the paper. It was a drawing done in stolen colored pencils. Blue sky, green grass, a yellow sun, a house with smoke coming from the chimney. "That's Earth," Duri said proudly. "That's where we're from. Grandma told me about it before she died." Minho took the drawing carefully. "It's beautiful. Have you been to Earth?" "No, I was born on Colony Hambit 7, just like you. But someday we'll go there, right? When the bad aliens leave?" Hayami turned away quickly. Minho knelt down so he was eye level with Duri. "Someday," he said. "I promise." Duri smiled and ran off to show her drawing to someone else. Minho stood slowly, still holding the paper. "Don't make promises you can't keep," Hayami said quietly. "I know." That night, Minho couldn't sleep. He sat in his small corner of the shelter and looked at Duri's drawing. Earth. A planet he had never seen. A planet his parents had never seen. His grandparents had come from Earth on the colony ships back when humanity was spreading across the stars. Back when they thought the galaxy was theirs to explore. Then the Vraxel came. They came in massive warships that blocked out the sun. They came with weapons that turned cities to glass. They came with one simple message: submit or die. Most human colonies submitted. A few tried to fight. Those colonies were turned to ash as examples. Now humanity lived in shadows. They lived underground and in hidden places. They lived quiet and small, hoping to survive one more day. But Minho was tired of surviving. The next morning, he gathered his team. There were 5 of them. Minho, Taiwan, Gina, Soohyun, and Kyung. They had all been soldiers or security officers before the invasion. Now they were the closest thing the resistance had to hope. "North Depot," Minho said. "Tonight. We go in fast, take what we can carry, and get out." "Guard patterns?" Taewon asked. He was the oldest, a former colony security chief with a scar across his face from a Vraxil weapon. 2 patrols rotating every 4 hours. We hit them between rotations. Gina checked her weapon, a human rifle held together with tape and prayer. "And if we're spotted?" "We run. And if we can't run," Minho met her eyes, "we make sure the medicine gets back to the shelter." They all understood. In this war, some things were worth dying for. That evening, as they prepared to leave, Duri found Minho again. She gave him another drawing. This one showed people holding hands in a circle. "For good luck," she said. Minho folded it carefully and put it in his pocket. "Thank you. Be careful, Mr. Minho, the monsters are mean." He touched her head gently. "I know, but we're meaner." She giggled and ran off. Hayami watched from across the room. "She loves you," Hayami said. "She loves everyone. She trusts you." Minho said nothing. Trust was a heavy thing. The team left through the hidden exit tunnels. Above ground, Colony Handbit 7 looked like a ghost town. The buildings still stood, but they were empty. The Vraxil had moved all surviving humans underground or to work camps. The colony that had once held 50,000 people now held only the conquerors. They moved through the darkness using night vision stolen from a Vraxil supply cache months ago. The depot was 3 kilometers away. They stayed in the shadows, avoiding the main roads where patrols moved. Minho's mind kept returning to Duri's drawing. The people holding hands, unity, family, hope. The Vraxil didn't understand those things. They understood only strength and fear. They thought humans were weak because humans cared about each other. They thought emotion was a weakness. They were wrong. Minho had learned something in the 2 years since the invasion. He had learned that people who have something to protect are the most dangerous people in the galaxy. He had learned that love doesn't make you weak. It makes you willing to do anything. The depot came into view. It was a simple structure surrounded by high walls and guard towers. Lights swept the perimeter. 2 Vraxil soldiers stood at the gate, their tall bodies covered in armor that looked like black insect shells. The Vraxil were 7 feet tall with 4 arms and faces that looked like nightmares. They were strong, fast, and they had conquered half the galaxy, but they had never conquered Earth. They had never set foot on humanity's homeworld. They had only taken the colonies, the scattered settlements far from home. Minho wondered sometimes if that was humanity's advantage. Humans were already far from home. They had already learned to survive in hostile places. They had already learned to adapt. He signaled his team. They spread out, moving into position. Tonight they would steal medicine. Tonight they would survive another day. But Minho knew something was changing. He could feel it in his bones. The fear that had kept humans hiding was slowly turning into something else. Something darker and stronger. The Vraxil had made a mistake. They had thought broken people would stay broken. They were wrong. Minho touched Duri's drawing in his pocket one more time. Then he raised his hand and gave the signal. The mission began. The alarm screamed into the night. Minho cursed and ran. Behind him, the depot lit up like day. Spotlights swept across the ground. Vraxil voices shouted commands in their harsh language. "Move," Taewon yelled. They had gotten the medicine. Soo-hyun carried 2 bags full of supplies. But something had gone wrong. The alarm had triggered early before they could escape clean. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air. The Vraxil weapons made a sound like tearing metal. 1 bolt hit the wall beside Gina, melting the stone. "Split up," Minho ordered. "Meet at point 7. The team scattered. Minho and Soo-hyun went east, toward the old industrial sector. The others went different directions. It was protocol. If one group was caught, the others might escape. They ran through abandoned streets. The medicine bags bounced against Soo-hyun's back. Minho could hear Vraxil soldiers behind them, their heavy footfalls getting closer. "There," Soo-hyun pointed at a collapsed building. They dove through a gap in the rubble just as another plasma bolt turned the ground behind them into glass. They crawled through the ruins, moving as fast as they dared. Behind them, the sounds of pursuit grew fainter. Maybe the Vraxil thought they had gone a different way. An hour later, they reached meeting point 7. It was an old water treatment plant on the edge of the colony. Taewon and Kyung were already there. They waited another hour, but Gina never came. "We have to go back," Taewon said. "No," Minho said, though it hurt. "If she was caught, going back won't help her. If she escaped, she knows where to find us. She wouldn't leave us. She would if it meant keeping the shelter safe." They returned through the underground tunnels. The medicine was safe. That was what mattered. That was what Gina would have wanted. When they reached the shelter, Ji-won was waiting. Her face was pale. "We got the medicine," Minho said. Ji-won didn't smile. "The Vraxil followed someone. Not you, someone else. They found the entrance to Sector 3. Minho's blood went cold. Sector 3 was connected to their sector. If the Vraxel knew about one, they could find the other. Evacuate, he said. Where? There's nowhere left to go, she was right. They had already moved twice. There were no more safe places. The attack came at dawn. Minho was helping Hayami pack medical supplies when the first explosion shook the shelter. Dust fell from the ceiling. People screamed. They're coming through the north tunnel, someone shouted. Jiwan was already moving, organizing people, trying to get the children to the emergency exits. But there weren't enough exits. There had never been enough exits. Minho grabbed his weapon and ran toward the north tunnel. Taewon and Kyung were already there, firing at the Vraxel soldiers pushing through the breach. The Vraxel were huge in the narrow tunnel, their armor scraping the walls. Their weapons lit up the darkness. One of Kyung's shots hit a Vraxel in the shoulder, but the armor absorbed most of the blast. The alien kept coming. Fall back, Minho ordered. They retreated into the main shelter. All around them, people were running, screaming, trying to hide. The Vraxel soldiers poured in like a dark tide. One soldier grabbed an old man and threw him against the wall. Another kicked over a table where a family was hiding. The children cried, "Stop!" Ji-won stepped forward, her hands raised. "We surrender. Don't hurt them." The Vraxel commander entered the shelter. He was bigger than the others, with markings on his armor that looked like scars. His forearms each held a weapon. "You attacked our depot," the commander said. His voice came through a translator device that made it sound mechanical. "This is the consequence. It was just us," Ji-won said. "The fighters. These people are innocent. There are no innocents among rebels." The commander looked around the shelter, his eyes black and multifaceted like an insect's, fixed on something. He walked forward. Minho saw where he was going. His heart stopped. Duri had been hiding behind a crate, but now she stood frozen, staring at the massive alien approaching her. She clutched one of her drawings to her chest. "No," Minho whispered. The commander reached down and picked up the little girl with two of his hands. She dangled in the air, too scared to even scream. "Commander, please," Hyemi stepped forward. "She's just a child." "This is what happens," the commander said. "This is what happens when humans resist." Minho started to move, but Taewon grabbed him. "Don't. He'll kill everyone." The commander looked at the drawing in Duri's hand. Earth. The blue sky and green grass. "You dream of places you will never see," the commander said. "Learn what dreams cost." He dropped Duri. She fell to the ground. For a moment, Minho thought it was over. Then the commander raised his weapon. "No!" Hyemi lunged forward. The plasma bolt hit Duri in the chest. The little girl's body jerked once, then went still. The drawing fluttered to the ground beside her, the paper now spotted with blood. The shelter went silent. Hyemi fell to her knees beside Duri's body. She screamed, a sound that didn't seem human. She gathered the small form into her arms, rocking back and forth. Minho couldn't move, couldn't breathe. He stared at Duri's open eyes, still bright, still looking at nothing. The commander spoke into a communication device. "Activate colony-wide broadcast." Cameras on the Vraxel soldiers began recording. The commander wanted everyone to see this. Every human in every shelter across the colony. "This is the price of rebellion," the commander said to the cameras. "This is what happens when you defy the Vraxel Empire. Submit or watch your children die." Minho felt Taewon's grip loosen. He stepped forward. His weapon was still in his hand. He could kill the commander. It would be easy. One shot to the neck joint where the armor was weak, but then all the Vraxel would open fire. Everyone in the shelter would die. Ji-won's hand touched his shoulder. "Not now," she whispered. "Not like this." The Vraxel commander looked directly at Minho. "You want to kill me? I can see it in your eyes, but you won't because you're weak, because you care more about these people than you care about victory. That is why you will always lose." The Vraxel soldiers began to leave. The commander was the last to go. He paused at the tunnel entrance. "We will be watching. Next time you resist, we will kill 10 children, then 20, then all of them. You will learn obedience or you will learn extinction." Then they were gone. For a long moment, nobody moved. The only sound was Hyemi crying, holding Duri's body. Then slowly people began to gather. They surrounded Hyemi and Duri. Some were crying. Some were silent. But Minho saw something in their eyes that hadn't been there before. It wasn't fear anymore. Taewon knelt and picked up Duri's drawing. The blood had ruined most of it, but you could still see the blue sky. He looked at it for a long time. She was 8 years old, he said quietly. She liked to draw, Kyung added. She wanted to see Earth, someone else said. More voices joined in. They spoke about Duri, about her smile, about her kindness, about how she shared her food with others even when she was hungry. About her dreams, Minho watched Ji-won. The captain stood very still. Her face was empty of expression, but her hands were clenched so tight her knuckles were white. Captain? Taewon said quietly. Ji-won looked at him. When she spoke, her voice was cold as space. Send the signal, she said. Duri protocol. Everyone knew what that meant. It was the prearranged code. The one they had hoped never to use. The one that meant total war. All colonies? Taewon asked. All colonies. No more hiding. No more running. No more mercy. Minho looked down at Duri's body and Hayami's arms. The little girl who had given him drawings for good luck. The little girl who had believed in Earth. The little girl who had trusted him to keep her safe. He had failed. But he would not fail again. Minho knelt beside Hayami. Gently, he took the drawing from Taewon and placed it in Duri's small hand. Then he stood and walked to his quarters. He returned with every weapon he owned. He began checking them methodically. Around the shelter, others were doing the same. The fear was gone. The uncertainty was gone. Something else had taken their place. Ji-won stood on a crate so everyone could see her. They think killing a child will break us, she said. Her voice carried through the silent shelter. They think we will submit. They think we will obey, she paused. In the silence, everyone could hear Yemi's quiet crying. They're wrong, Ji-won continued. They didn't break us. They freed us. Because now we have nothing left to lose. Now we know what they truly are. Now we know what we have to do. What do we do? Someone asked. Ji-won's smile was terrible to see. We remember. We remember Duri. We remember every child they've killed. Every person they've murdered. Every dream they've crushed. And then we make them pay. The shelter erupted in voices. Not cheers. Not celebration. Something darker. Something that had been building for 2 years of occupation and fear. Minho looked at Duri one last time. Her eyes were still open, still bright. He reached down and gently closed them. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. But I promise you this, they will remember your name. The whole galaxy will remember your name. He stood and walked to where Ji-won was organizing teams. Give me every mission, Minho said. Every dangerous operation. Every suicide run. I volunteer. Ji-won looked at him. This isn't about revenge. Yes, it is. It's about survival. About freedom. It's about teaching them fear, Minho said. They taught us fear for 2 years. Now it's our turn. Ji-won studied his face for a long moment. Then she nodded. Get ready, she said. Everything changes now. Minho looked around the shelter. 6 weeks after Duri's death, Minho stood in the darkness and watched the Vraxel patrol pass below. He didn't feel cold anymore. He didn't feel tired. He didn't feel much of anything except patience. Beside him, Taewon counted under his breath. 12 soldiers. 2 heavy weapons. Standard patrol pattern. Same as yesterday, Minho said. Same as the day before. They're getting comfortable. Good. They had been watching this patrol for 3 weeks. Learning everything. When they changed shifts. When they got tired. When they made mistakes. Humans were good at watching. Humans were patient. The Vraxil didn't know that yet. Back at the shelter, things had changed. The crying had stopped. The fear had stopped. Now there was only cold preparation. Hayami no longer ran the medical station. She ran what she called the research department. She studied Vraxil biology using samples from dead soldiers. She studied their weapons, their armor. She was looking for weaknesses. She found them. Their breathing apparatus has a weak seal, she told Ji-won and Minho one night. If we can introduce an airborne compound, something that swells their respiratory tissue, they'll suffocate. Can you make it? Ji-won asked. I already have. 2 liters. Enough to kill every Vraxil in a standard garrison. The woman who had cried over Duri's body now spoke about killing without emotion. Minho understood. He was the same. They had all crossed a line. Ji-won coordinated with the other colonies. The messages went out through hidden channels. Every human settlement received the same information. Tactics, targets, timing. On colony Hanbit 7 they were just one cell. But across 12 colonies there were hundreds of cells. Thousands of fighters, all waiting for the signal, all remembering Duri. Other human colonies had their own Duris. Children killed for sport. For examples. For entertainment. Every colony carried the names of the innocent dead. Every colony was ready. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. Minho's first mission under the new protocol was supposed to be simple. Hit a Vraxil communication relay. Destroy it. Leave no survivors. They went in at night, 5 fighters moving like shadows. The relay was guarded by 8 soldiers. The Vraxil never expected an attack. Why would they? Humans always ran. Humans always hid. Not anymore. Minho shot the first guard in the neck joint exactly where Hayami had told him. The alien died before it could make a sound. Taewon took the second. Hyung took the third and fourth. The other 4 Vraxil realized they were under attack. They raised weapons. But Soo-hyun had already thrown Hayami's gas grenade. The yellow mist spread fast. The Vraxil soldiers grabbed at their breathing masks. Their forearms clawed at their throats. They fell one by one, drowning in air. Minho walked past them into the relay station. He planted the explosives while the others kept watch. 3 minutes later, they were gone. The relay exploded behind them, lighting up the night sky. That was the first strike. There were many more. Across colony Hanbit 7, human resistance cells hit Vraxil positions again and again. Supply lines, communication posts, patrol routes. Each attack was precise, brutal, effective. The Vraxil started to respond. They increased patrols. They sent more soldiers. But the humans had learned the first rule of guerrilla war. Don't fight where the enemy is strong. Fight where they're weak, strike and vanish. Attack and disappear. Make them afraid of the darkness. Commander Thexkar, the alien who had killed Duri, sent out hunting parties. They found nothing. The humans were ghosts now. Minho volunteered for every dangerous mission. Ji-won tried to tell him to rest, but he wouldn't listen. Every night he went out. Every night he killed Vraxil soldiers. He kept one of Duri's drawings in his armor. The paper was dirty and torn now, but he could still see the blue sky she had drawn. He looked at it before every mission. For you, he whispered each time. This is for you. 3 months after Duri's death, something unexpected happened. A message came through the hidden channels. It wasn't from another human colony. It was from the Dreth, one of the other species the Vraxil had conquered. The message was simple. We can help. Ji-won was suspicious. Why would they help us? Because they hate the Vraxil too, Taewon said. Then why haven't they fought back? Maybe they were waiting, Minho said quietly. Waiting to see if anyone else would fight first. The Dreth sent technical information. Codes to Vraxil security systems, patrol schedules, supply manifest, all the things the resistance needed. Other conquered species began to reach out. The Malgor offered safe harbor on their ocean worlds. The Kenthi provided weapons they had hidden from the Vraxil. The Yavin shared intelligence. The galaxy had been watching, waiting to see if humanity would survive or break. Now they had their answer. 4 months after Duri's death, Ji-won called a meeting of all cell leaders on colony Hanbit 7. 30 people crowded into a hidden chamber deep underground. The other colonies are ready, Ji-won said. We've coordinated targets across all 12 settlements. Tomorrow night we strike simultaneously. What's the primary target? Someone asked. Everything. Every Vraxil position. Every garrison. Every command post. We hit them all at once. They'll retaliate. Let them. We're not hiding anymore, Minho spoke up. What about Thexkar? The room went quiet. Everyone knew that name. Everyone remembered the broadcast. The commander? Ji-won said. He killed Duri. He broadcast it across the colony. He wanted us to see it. Minho's voice was cold. I want him to see something too. What? What happens when you hurt human children? Ji-won looked at him for a long time. Then she nodded. Take your team. Make it public. That night, Minho gathered Taewon, Kyung, and Soo-hyun. They studied maps of the Vraxil command garrison. It was the most heavily defended position on the colony. We'll never get in, Kyung said. We don't have to get in, Minho replied. We just have to get him to come out. How? We make him angry. The next night, the galaxy changed. On all 12 human colonies, resistance cells struck at the same moment. Explosions lit up the darkness. Vraxel garrisons burned. Communication towers fell. Supply depots exploded. The Vraxil Empire had ruled through fear for 300 years. They had never faced coordinated resistance on this scale. On Colony Hanbit 7, Minho's team hit a Vraxil patrol just outside the command garrison. They killed every soldier and left their bodies in the street. Then they broadcasted a message on all Vraxil channels. Commander Thexkar, you killed a child to teach us fear. Now we'll teach you what fear means. Come face us if you're brave enough, or hide behind your walls like a coward. The message repeated over and over. 2 hours later, Thexkar came out. He brought 40 soldiers with him. They spread out through the streets searching for the humans who dared challenge him. But Minho wasn't in the streets. He was on the rooftops, and he had brought every fighter in his sector. 50 humans with stolen weapons and homemade explosives. When Thexkar's forces reached the killing zone, Minho gave the signal. The ambush was brutal. Explosives dropped from above. Snipers fired from windows. Gas grenades filled the street with Hyami's poison. The Vraxil soldiers fell one by one. Thexkar tried to retreat, but the humans had blocked every exit. They had learned from the Vraxil. They had learned to be ruthless. When it was over, only Thexkar remained alive. His armor was damaged. 3 of his 4 arms were broken. He lay in the street bleeding from multiple wounds. Minho dropped down from the rooftop. He walked slowly toward the commander, his weapon pointed at the alien's head. You remember me? Minho asked. Thexkar's translator was damaged, but it still worked. Human. You killed a little girl. Her name was Duri. She was 8 years old. She liked to draw pictures. She was kind to everyone. She never hurt anyone. Minho's voice was steady. You killed her to teach us fear. You should have learned. Oh, we learned. Minho knelt down so he was eye level with the commander. We learned that fear works both ways. We learned that monsters can be killed. We learned that we've been too soft. You cannot win. The Empire is vast. Maybe, but you won't see it. Minho stood and activated the communications device they had set up. This is being broadcast across every Vraxil channel on this colony. I want your people to see what happens when you hurt human children. Thexkar's eyes widened. Minho pulled the trigger. The broadcast went out across the colony. Every Vraxil soldier saw their commander die. Every Vraxil saw that humans were no longer afraid. Back at the shelter, people gathered around the communication screens. They watched Minho stand over Thexkar's body. They watched him speak to the cameras. This was for Duri, Minho said. This was for every child you've killed. Every innocent you've murdered. Every dream you've destroyed. We are humanity. We remember. We never forget, and we never forgive. He held up one of Duri's drawings to the camera. The blue sky. The green grass. The earth she had never seen. You wanted to teach us fear, Minho continued. Lesson learned. Now we'll teach the galaxy something. We'll teach them what happens when you make humans angry. We'll teach them that peace was our choice, not our weakness. And when you take away that choice, you take away your safety. He dropped the drawing and walked away. Behind him, Vraxil bodies lay in the street. The broadcast ended. In the shelter, Hyemi was crying again. But these were different tears. Beside her, Jiwon stood with her arms crossed, watching the blank screen. It started, Jiwon said quietly. There's no going back now. No, Hyemi agreed. No going back. News spread fast. 1 year after Duri's death, the galaxy had changed. Minho stood on what used to be a Vraxil command ship. Now it was a human command ship. They had captured it 3 months ago in a battle that lasted 6 hours. 30 humans died taking it, but they took it. Through the viewport, he could see Colony Hanbit 7 below. The colony was free now. The Vraxil had abandoned it 2 weeks ago after losing too many soldiers. They couldn't hold it anymore. Sir, the council is ready, a young fighter named Hana said. Minho still wasn't used to being called sir. He was just a fighter, but Jiwon had insisted. The resistance needed structure. They needed ranks. They needed to look like a real military, because that's what they had become. The council chamber was crowded. Representatives from all 12 human colonies were there, projected on holographic screens. This was the first time they had all met together since the war began. Jiwon called the meeting to order. She looked older now, more gray in her hair, but her eyes were sharp as ever. Status reports, she said. One by one, the colonies reported. Colony Taeyang 3 had been liberated last month. Colony Biol 9 was still under siege but holding. Colony Hanel 5 had successfully destroyed 3 Vraxel supply convoys. Every colony was fighting. Every colony was winning. The Vraxel are pulling back from the outer colonies, Taewon reported. He was now chief of intelligence. They're consolidating their forces around their core territories. They're scared, someone said. No, Minho said quietly. They're regrouping, getting ready for a major offensive. Everyone looked at him. He's right, Jiwon said. We've hurt them, but we haven't broken them. They still have the majority of their fleet. Their homeworld is still untouched. They're going to come at us with everything. Let them, Kyung said. She was now a squad leader, commanding 20 fighters. We've learned how to kill them. Learning how to kill them and surviving an all-out assault are different things, Jiwon replied. Hayami spoke up from her seat. We need allies. Real allies. Military support. We have support, someone argued. The Dreth, the Kenthi, the others. They give us intelligence and supplies. But they won't fight beside us. Not yet, why not? Because they're still afraid, Minho said. They're waiting to see if we can really win. The meeting continued for hours. They discussed tactics, resources, strategy. But Minho's mind kept returning to one thing. The Vraxel homeworld. That's where this would end. Not on the colonies. Not in the outer systems. It would end where it began, at the heart of the Empire. After the meeting, Minho found Hayami in her laboratory. She was studying Vraxel genetic samples, making notes. How's the new weapon coming? He asked. She didn't look up. It works. I've tested it on tissue samples. It will work on living subjects, and I don't know if I can use it. She finally looked at him. It's a virus, Minho. It targets Vraxel biology specifically. It's lethal. Highly contagious. If we release it on their homeworld, we could kill billions. Good. Good? You understand what I'm saying? Billions. Not soldiers, everyone, children, civilians. They don't have children. They grow their young in artificial wombs. They don't have civilians. Every Vraxel is a warrior. That's not the point. Hyemi set down her tools. The point is, if we do this, we become like them. We become genocidal monsters. They killed Duri, I know. I was there. I held her body. I know what they are. Hayami's voice shook. But if we kill billions to avenge one, what does that make us? Survivors. Is that enough? Minho didn't have an answer. The Vraxel counteroffensive came 6 weeks later. It was massive. Hundreds of warships descended on the liberated colonies. They came with overwhelming force, determined to crush the human resistance once and for all. Colony Biol 9 fell in 2 days. The humans fought hard, but there were too many Vraxel, too many weapons. The survivors evacuated to neighboring colonies. Colony Hanul 5 held for a week before falling. Again, the humans retreated. The Vraxel were using human tactics now. They had learned. They came in fast, hit hard, and didn't give the humans time to set traps or ambushes. We're losing, Taewon said during an emergency council meeting. We're retreating, Jiwon corrected. That's different. How long can we retreat? Eventually we run out of places to go. Then we make our stand. Where? Jiwon looked at Minho. You've been planning something. I can see it. What is it? Minho pulled up a star map. He pointed to a system at the center. The Vraxel homeworld, we attack there, he said. The room erupted in voices. Everyone talking at once. Impossible. Suicide. Insane. Jiwon raised her hand for silence. Explain. They expect us to defend. To hide, to run. They're committing all their forces to retaking the colonies. Minho highlighted the fleet movements on the map. Their homeworld is less defended than it's been in centuries. We take a strike force, go straight to the heart, and hit them where they least expect it. With what ships? What forces? We've captured 7 Vraxel vessels in the last year. We have the ships. And we have fighters willing to use them. It's still suicide. Maybe, but if we do nothing, we lose everything. If we attack, we have a chance. Taewon studied the map. Even if we reach the homeworld, what then? We can't conquer an entire planet with a few hundred fighters. We don't need to conquer it, Minho said. We just need to hurt them. Make them bleed on their own soil. Show the galaxy that the Vraxel can be beaten anywhere. And if we fail, then we die. But we die making them afraid. The vote was close, but in the end, Jiwon approved the mission. 300 fighters volunteered. That was all they could spare. 7 captured ships against the Vraxil homeworld. Hayemi came to Minho the night before they left. "I'm coming with you," she said. "No. You're needed here. I'm needed there. If you're going to attack their homeworld, you'll need someone who knows their biology, their weaknesses." Hayemi, "Don't!" She cut him off. "Don't try to protect me. I lost that girl too. I held her while she died. I have as much right to this as you do." Minho looked at her, saw the determination in her eyes. He nodded. The fleet left at dawn. 7 ships carrying 300 humans. They moved quietly through space using routes provided by the Dreth. It took 3 weeks to reach the Vraxil system. The homeworld was beautiful in a terrible way. Red skies, black oceans, cities that looked like insect hives. "Defensive fleet?" G1 asked. She had insisted on coming too. This was too important to command from far away. 3 dozen ships, Taewon reported. Mostly patrol vessels. "The main fleet is still at the colonies. Launch the attack. The human ships dove into the atmosphere. Vraxil fighters scrambled to intercept, but they were too slow. The humans had learned to fly their captured ships well. Minho's ship targeted the capital city, the largest population center, the heart of the empire. "Hayemi," he said into the communication channel. "Deploy the weapon." There was a long pause. "Yemi? I can't." "What?" "I can't do it, Minho. I thought I could, but I can't. If I release this virus, it will kill everyone on this planet. Soldiers, yes, but others too. We'll be no better than they are." Around them, explosions lit up the sky. Human ships attacked Vraxil military installations, but without the virus, they couldn't do enough damage. They couldn't win. "Hayemi, we need this." "No, we need to be better than this." Minho wanted to argue, wanted to take control of the weapon himself, but he couldn't, because somewhere deep inside he knew she was right. "Then what do we do?" he asked. Ji-won's voice came over the channel. "We do what humans do best. We improvise." She ordered all ships to target military installations only, command centers, weapon factories, fleet yards. They couldn't kill the whole planet, but they could cripple its ability to make war. For 6 hours, the human fleet attacked. They destroyed targets across the planet. They recorded everything, broadcasting it across the galaxy. The message was clear. Humans could reach anywhere. Even the Vraxil homeworld wasn't safe. When their weapons ran low and reinforcements arrived, Ji-won gave the order to retreat. The human ships fled into deep space. They had lost 2 ships, 60 fighters, but they had done something no one thought possible. They had attacked the Vraxil homeworld and survived. News spread across the galaxy within days. Every species heard about the attack. The Vraxil, untouchable for 300 years, had been struck at home. More importantly, humans had chosen not to use the ultimate weapon. They had chosen restraint. They had chosen to be better. The Dreth were the first to respond. Their leader sent a message to Ji-won. "We will fight with you." Then the Kenthi. Then the Yavin. Then species after species that had been conquered and broken. They all saw the same thing. Humans were strong enough to win, but restrained enough not to become monsters. Within a month, a coalition formed. Dozens of species united against the Vraxil. The war changed again. It wasn't humans fighting alone anymore. It was the galaxy fighting together. Back on Colony Hanbit 7, Minho stood in front of a memorial. They had built it in the center of the liberated colony, a wall with millions of names carved into black stone. He found Duri's name, ran his fingers over the letters. "We're winning," he said quietly to the name. "Not just humans, everyone. You'd like that. You always said everyone should be friends." He placed one of her drawings at the base of the wall. He had kept it for a year, but it belonged here now. With her, Himi joined him. "Do you think it's enough, what we're doing?" "I don't know, but it's better than genocide. It's better than becoming them." 2 years after Duri's death, Minho stood on the bridge of the Coalition flagship and watched the Vraxil homeworld grow larger in the viewport. This time, they weren't here for a raid. This time, they were here to end it. The Coalition fleet was massive, hundreds of ships from dozens of species. Humans, Dreth, Kenthi, Yavin, Malgor, and more, all united against a common enemy. "Fleet status?" Ji-won asked. She was now Admiral Ji-won, commander of all Coalition forces. Her gray hair was now white, and she walked with a cane from an injury sustained in the Battle of Sector 7. But her mind was sharp as ever. All ships ready, Taewon reported. He wore the uniform of a fleet captain now. The Vraxil defensive fleet is forming up to meet us. How many ships? 200. It's everything they have left. 2 years of war had bled the Vraxil dry. Their empire had crumbled. Their conquered worlds had rebelled. Their fleet had been destroyed piece by piece. Now only the homeworld remained. Send the message, Jiwon ordered. A communication channel opened. Minho spoke into it, his words transmitted to the Vraxil High Command. This is the coalition of free worlds. We offer you one chance to surrender. Unconditional surrender. Your military will be dissolved. Your leaders will stand trial. Your species will be placed under coalition supervision until you prove you can live peacefully. There was a long silence. Then the Vraxil Emperor himself responded. His voice was old, tired. We are Vraxil. We do not surrender. We have ruled this galaxy for 300 years. We will not bow to inferior species. Then you will fall, Minho said. Your choice. He closed the channel. Jiwon looked at him. Are you ready for this? I've been ready for 2 years. This is the end. After today, everything changes. I know. We're about to kill thousands, maybe millions. Are you prepared for that? Minho thought about Duri, about her drawings, about her smile, about all the children killed by the Vraxil. They had their chance, he said. They chose war. The battle began. The Vraxil fleet came at them with everything they had. Plasma weapons lit up the darkness. Ships exploded. The void filled with debris and bodies. But the coalition was stronger. They had more ships, more fighters, more determination. One by one, Vraxil vessels fell. Minho commanded a strike team tasked with breaching the planetary defenses. They flew their fighters through a storm of weapons fire. Half his team died in the first 5 minutes, but the others pushed through. They hit the defense platforms, destroyed the shield generators, opened a path for the main fleet. Coalition ships poured into the atmosphere. They targeted military installations, government buildings, fleet yards, anything that helped the Vraxil make war. But they didn't target civilians. That was the rule Jiwon had established. The rule that Hayami had insisted on. They would win, but they would win the right way. The Vraxil fought desperately. They knew this was the end. They threw everything at the coalition, but it wasn't enough. After 12 hours of fighting, the Vraxil fleet was destroyed. The planetary defenses were offline. The capital city was surrounded. The Emperor sent another message. This time his voice was different. Broken. We surrender. Jiwon took the call. Unconditional? Yes. Your entire government will stand trial for war crimes. Your military will be dissolved. Your empire is over. I understand. One more thing, Jiwon said. For every child you killed, for every innocent you murdered, there will be justice. Not vengeance. Justice. I understand, the Emperor said again. The war was over. Minho sat in his fighter and felt nothing. He had imagined this moment for 2 years. He thought he would feel satisfaction, relief, something, but there was only emptiness. They had won. But Duri was still dead. The coalition occupied the Vraxil homeworld. It was a strange sight. Species that had been enemies for centuries now worked together, building, planning, creating something new. The Vraxil Emperor and his entire government were arrested. They were taken to a neutral station where a tribunal would be held. Representatives from 200 species would serve as judges. It would be the first galactic court in history. Minho was called to testify. He stood in front of the assembled representatives and told them everything about the occupation, about the resistance, about the children killed to maintain control. Then he showed them Duri's drawings. This is what your empire killed, he said, holding up the picture of Earth. An 8-year-old girl who dreamed of seeing a planet she'd never been to, who drew pictures to make people smile, who was kind to everyone. He looked at the Vraxil Emperor sitting in the defendant's dock. You killed her to teach us fear, Minho continued. You broadcast it across the colony so everyone would see. You wanted us to know what happens when we resist. He paused. But something different happened. We learned that fear can go both ways. We learned that monsters can bleed. We learned that we were better than you because we chose restraint when we could have chosen genocide. He held up the drawing again. This little girl taught us something your empire never understood. Strength without mercy is just cruelty. Power without compassion is just tyranny. You were strong, but you were never right. He placed the drawing on the evidence table. I hope you remember her face, because the galaxy will. We're building laws to protect children of all species. We're calling them the Dury Accords. Every child in this galaxy will grow up safer because of what she endured. The tribunal deliberated for 3 days. The verdict was unanimous, guilty on all counts. The Vraxil Emperor was sentenced to life imprisonment. His entire government with him. The Vraxil species was stripped of all military rights. They would be supervised by the Coalition for a generation, but they would not be exterminated. That was important. The Coalition could have destroyed them, could have done to them what they had done to so many others. They chose mercy instead. 6 months after the trial, Minho stood on a hill overlooking a new colony. It was called New Earth, the first planet terraformed by the Coalition specifically for humans. The sky was blue. The grass was green. It looked like the pictures Dury had drawn. Beside him, Hayemi planted a tree. She had retired from weapons development and returned to medicine. She ran a hospital now, treating patients from all species. It's beautiful, she said. It is. She would have loved it. Yes. They stood in comfortable silence. Below them, children from a dozen different species played in a park. Humans dreth Kenthi altogether. Do you still think about her? Hayemi asked. Every day. Me too. Sometimes I dream about her. She's always drawing. Always smiling? I dream about her too. But in my dreams, I save her. You did save her, just not the way you wanted to. Minho looked at her. What do you mean? You saved all of them. Hayemi gestured at the children playing below. Because you remembered her. Because you made the galaxy remember her. Those kids are safe because of what you did. What we all did. We killed so many people to get here, we did. And we'll carry that forever. But we didn't kill everyone. We could have. We had the weapons. We had the justification. But we chose something better. Minho thought about that. About the virus Hayemi had created and refused to use. About the restraint the Coalition had shown. About the mercy they had granted. Do you think it was worth it? He asked. All the death? All the pain? I don't know. But I know this, the galaxy is better now than it was. Safer. More just. That has to mean something. A small human girl ran up to them. She couldn't have been more than 7 years old. She held out a piece of paper. I made you a drawing, she said to Minho. He took it carefully. It showed a blue sky and green grass and a yellow sun, just like Dury's drawings. That's beautiful, he said, his voice catching. That's New Earth, the girl said proudly. That's our home. Yes, it is. The girl smiled and ran back to her friends. Hayemi touched Minho's shoulder. She'd be proud of you. I hope so. That evening, Minho attended the dedication ceremony for the Dury Memorial. It was built in the center of New Earth's capital city, a statue of a little girl holding a drawing of Earth. Around the statue, the names of every child killed in the war were carved into black stone. Thousands of names. From dozens of species. All the innocence lost, Jiwon spoke at the ceremony. She was old now, retiring after the war, but her voice was still strong. We gather here to remember, she said. To remember the children who never got to see peace. To remember why we fought. To remember what we fight for. She gestured to the statue. This girl's name was Dury. She was 8 years old. She liked to draw. She believed in hope. And her death changed the galaxy. Jiwon paused, looking at the crowd. Thousands of beings from hundreds of species. We won the war. But we can't bring back the dead. All we can do is honor them. We do that by building a better galaxy, by protecting the innocent, by choosing mercy over vengeance, by being the people they would have wanted us to be. She raised her hand in salute. To Dury, and to all the children, we remember. We remember, the crowd echoed. Minho stood in the back, watching. He thought about the journey. About the fear that had reigned when the Vraxil first came. About the fury that had been unleashed when Dury died. About the war that had followed. So much death. So much pain, but also hope. Unity. Justice. The galaxy had learned what humans were capable of. They had learned that humans could be gentle, could be kind, but they had also learned that humans could be the most dangerous species in the galaxy when their innocence was violated.